Hi Siri, I'm looking for a new podcast, one that preferably is hosted by a UF Hall of Famer, one that airs every weekday that would bring me everything I need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions. Siri, is there such a show?
Have you heard of PodUp with Matthews in the morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform?
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. I want to thank Mick Hubert for our introduction today. Hello, everybody. I'm Mick Hubert. No, I'm not Mick Hubert, but
No.
that's what Mick always says. We will have JC here momentarily, and then we will have Steve Palazollo, who covers the National Football League, get his thoughts on what's going on. About 6 weeks to go, maybe 7 weeks to go. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. Get your thoughts, questions, comments for Steve. And JC, you're on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. You're representing the Hoosiers today.
Well, yeah, we got to root
for some reason.
Well, you got to root for somebody, QB.
No, you don't.
Oh, you don't? Well,
No.
I tend to, especially the ones I pick.
The ones that win, you decide.
Well, no, the
ones
I pick on Hard Rock. But before we get to all that, QB, yesterday the news about our very good run-stopping, exciting defensive football player Jack Pyburn was such that he needed some money in his mind to stick around. And regardless of what the reasons were for him deciding to get into the transfer portal, I think the team is worse off for losing him, and I don't think it's good. I wish he would stay, but I understand it. However, I would say this, QB, we've got I think back in the day when you were around, or maybe after you, Coach Spurrier once said, and this is when paying players was illegal, I wouldn't mind if some of the coaches went ahead and just kind of here and there, this, that, and the other, maybe put in a little money, maybe help out the kids, help out the players, just, some over there, some over here, something like that, And he's right. I mean, we've got two guys, according to Bud Davis, who's this is a very insightful tweet. We're paying Hawk $750,000 and Austin Armstrong $1.2 million. That's $2 million. You don't think maybe they could fork out a couple hundred, maybe $100,000 between the two of them?
For who?
Half $100,000 between the two of them. Maybe throw it in the pot. We're paying all these coaches. I guarantee you the payroll on the staff is over $10 million.
They had JC. Here's how it works. It's just like in the National Football
I don't care,
League.
QB. They could have kept the kid. Give him $40,000.
He's a good player. He's not a great player.
Could have kept him. Should have kept him.
But he's not worth
$40,000. He's worth it. He's worth it to me.
No, he's not, JC. I will tell you how he's worth it. You tell me if anybody else signs him for that kind of money.
Yeah, I don't know what anybody else.
He's probably worth 10,000. He's probably worth 10,000 a month.
Hey, look, this is not a market. We're not trading stocks here. I don't care what he's worth. $40,000 to these guys, these coaches. What is it? So why?
Take the coaches out of it, JC.
No,
that has nothing to do with this situation.
That's a solution.
This has nothing to do with this situation.
Yeah, it's a solution, and you know it.
The problem is, listen. The amount of money reported. Now, you can't believe everything you read. First of all,
I know.
They have spots slotted dollar amounts.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to waste money on a player that is basically a run stopper. He's limited in what he does. He's a good player. He's not a good college player, but it will not bother. It will not matter. Trust me.
Well, it's just an example of, I think, a way that some of these coaches and some of these teams can quit bitching about guys leaving when, maybe they ought to look at what they can do other than just saying, go fill this gap or go fill that gap. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And it's an idea. And listen, like I said, your coach flat out said it. He suggested that idea years ago. Yes?
I know, but we're talking two different things here.
Why? Why are we talking two different things?
JC.
What?
Okay. If you were in charge of the money, right? And you know your players, and little do people know they may have some 5-star guy that has 12 sacks in America right now coming in. I don't know. But $45,000 for a guy who had 1 sack?
QB, seriously,
who can't play in passing situations. JC, look, I don't want to
might get
pile
you a
on Jack
Toyota.
Clyburn because I like the kid. I think he's great. He's a good college football player.
Yeah.
He is not worth a third of what he's asking for, in my opinion. Not even a third.
$45,000 might get you a down payment on a Yukon.
That's a month, JC. A month.
Well, okay. If that's
no, you're the financial planner. Add
it's
up
a month?
the months.
Okay, so how many months are we talking about? Maybe he says, I'd like it for 9 months. How about this? You'd like it for 9 months. We'll give it to you for 3 months. All I'm saying is you can talk to this kid.
Okay, I'm just trying to tell you how it works.
Nah.
You should know this.
It can work
just
any
like the
way
National Football League.
QB, it can work any way.
If a coach and a organization does not think that person is worthy of it,
well, that's it.
They release them.
Okay, well, I think he is worth it. I'm not a coach. I get it.
Yeah,
but
I do not think he's worth that.
I think the defense is better with him than without him. I do.
Well, we will see. But
okay,
you're not gonna hamper your entire allotment of money to pay somebody that is limited.
Yeah.
I don't know what people. I mean, we have people agreeing, we have people disagree.
Yeah, that's all right.
My eyes and. I'm not even going to.
Well, you don't have to. I'm just telling you that's kind of what I wish had happened. But it was just an idea that, we over in the big picture of things, I think coaches could help out. That's kind of what my point was.
Okay,
but
well, that has nothing to do with it because they have plenty of money. They have plenty of money in the
okay, well then I don't want to ever hear you talking about, well, this costs too much or that costs too much because apparently we have plenty of money.
We have plenty of money in the portal now.
All right, great. Now, this is David Waters, and David says, I'm not sure why I haven't put this out before about a 7-5 record, but Florida finished the regular season with a 7-5 record, and it's before the season after starting 1-2 and saying that Mertz would miss most of the year, Montrell would miss most of the year, and Trey Wilson would miss all of the year. I would say it'd be a miracle they finished 7-5, and so I agree with that, and I think the reason for that is one name basically says it all for me. I know it's in your mind, and it's true that the offensive line, the defensive line, and everything else contributed to this. But one guy is responsible for that 7-5 record, and it ain't the coach; it's the quarterback, and that's what I believe.
Okay, well, if you're going to use more money, you pay the quarterback. You don't pay a guy who has one sack.
He was a good run stopper, QB. You know he was.
He was a good. He wasn't so much a run stopper. He did his assignment.
Yeah, he was.
Defensive football is about gap control and doing what you're supposed to do. He did that, but you cannot pay him even close to that amount of money. Not even close.
Well, you can, like I said, you can work with him. You don't have to just say, okay, whatever you want.
JC, do you not think they did that?
I don't know what they did. All I know is that
you just came out here. You just came out here and just told me that you would pay him that amount of money when he had one sack. He can't play in coverage. He's an outside linebacker. Your outside linebackers have to play in coverage, JC.
Well, QB, when you ask for something, you usually overshoot your price. I'm saying they could have talked to him. I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't.
That's how it works. You sit down. They have what they call exit meetings. You sit down. You discuss your situation. They may say, hey, we just recruited this kid. We're going after these guys in the portal. You're welcome to stay and compete. We appreciate everything you did. And he's going to say, well, I want this amount of money. It may not be him. It may be his agent. And they're going to look at their roster and they're going to say, well, we're not going to pay that. We're going to move on. If he wants to go somewhere else, we wish him luck. It's that simple. It's business now.
Yeah, it is. I know.
Right. And he will not get that amount of money anywhere else. I don't, there's no way. So anyway, he's a motor guy. I agree, Jim. I've said it from day one. He's a guy that is nonstop. He plays hard, but
we complained about the defense for years. We find a guy that's got some attitude, and you let him skate.
You're not letting him skate, JC. You can't afford to overpay people.
You just said we had plenty of money. What are you talking about? How do you know it's overpaid?
Okay.
You don't know that.
No. JC, think about it. Do you overpay to buy certain things?
Well, you think he's overpaid, but I
think that amount, whatever was reported, and I don't know if it's true or not.
I don't either. I'm just using.
But if whatever was reported is true, there is no way. I say, you know what, Jack, we appreciate everything you did this year and you've done in the past. We wish you well.
Right,
there's no way.
Okay, all right, let him go. Watch him play for Missouri.
I don't care if he goes and plays at Florida State. You cannot pay him that kind of money. It's that simple.
We'll see.
So anyway, somebody told me Bates did the introduction today. My sheet says Mick Hubert, so we'll figure out who's right or wrong. I don't know.
Well, we don't
I can't hear the music.
We don't get to hear. We don't have what they call off air. We don't get to hear that. So
yeah.
I do know we're going to get a nice line of rain, which is good because my plants need it. So does I guess you could say my yard does, but it's nice. It's a nice December morning in Gainesville, QB, and players are coming and going here in Hogtown. So there you have it. Yeah. I just know this.
Well, let me tell you something. Your school, by the way, is losing tons of players.
Oh, they'll get plenty, QB.
Okay, okay. So what's the difference between your school and our school?
Let him get the players he wants. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
He'll be fine. He went 9-3 with someone else's guys. He'll do fine.
Someone else's guys were pretty damn good. That someone else guy.
They were, but he
somehow had some of the best players in the world.
But they forgot how to beat average teams. That's not good. Now, maybe that's his fault. Maybe it's the other guy's fault. I don't know. But regardless, they're sitting at home and they're getting ready to play a very boring and who gives a damn ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa. So,
well,
have fun. I won't be going. I'm not going.
All right. So a lot of people are asking about the Mark Gastineau, Brett Favre thing that hit all over Twitter. I saw it. I thought it was fake, but I don't know when it was done. But Gastineau has an issue with Favre. Yeah. He needs to get over it.
How many years has that been now?
Yeah, he definitely needs to get over it.
Well, some of these guys hold on to their careers because they can't let go, I guess. But as for the playoff QB, I'm kind of tired of talking about the structure and how messed up it is because the seating has to be redone. It does. That's not right the way they have the seating, but that's just how it worked out. I don't think Oregon really cares that they may have a tougher draw than Penn State, who they clearly were better than. I don't think they care at all. I think they'll just go to the Rose Bowl and beat Ohio State, or they'll beat Tennessee. That's But I do think it's kind of messed up the way that seeding goes. I think we've talked about that, or at least it has been talked ad nauseum in the country, throughout the country, as far as these teams and strength of schedule and all this stuff. The point about Greg Byrne at Alabama making that, yes, okay, it wasn't the non-conference schedule that bothered or that hurt Alabama. Obviously, it wasn't. It was losing the conference games. But what he's saying is that going forward, they're not going to bother with Ohio State, Michigan, and Florida State in the non-conference schedule. Why should they? That's all he was saying. And it makes sense. Why should he? The Ohio State Bulldogs played 2 MAC teams and a Sun Belt team in the out-of-conference schedule.
The Ohio State who?
The Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah, you call them the Bulldogs.
Well, the Bulldogs played UMass. Okay, whatever. But that's all he's saying. He's simply saying that I don't know why we play Ohio State one week and then have to travel to Baton Rouge the next, right? Right. So that's all he's saying. That's it. I don't know why. It's the truth, really. It is.
Okay, Brandon on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, says, ask JC if he would consider buying a stock for $45,000 that's valued at $20,000.
Well, first of all, I could spend $45,000 on a stock that was priced for 100 shares at $20,000 and buy more shares. So is he saying, would I spend $45,000 or would I overpay? Would I pay 2 times for a stock's price?
He's basically saying he ain't worth it, is what he's saying.
Well, apparently you don't believe that either. So
I don't. A lot of people on here don't believe it either. So because they said right now, LJ McCray's making over $1 million. Gums is making $750,000. Let's see who else on the D line. Caleb Banks is making over $1 million now.
What did Tyreek Sapp get paid?
I have no idea.
Yeah, he's the guy that led in sacks. I think that's right. And Shamar James, what did he get paid?
I don't know.
So
I don't know what any of them are. We don't know what this is. Just all hearsay. We don't know.
Maybe your boy LJ is overpaid. You ever think about that? $1 million? How many sacks did he have?
He didn't play a whole lot because he was a true freshman.
Well, let's give him $1 million then, because we got plenty of money.
They did coming out of high school, and it's still under his contract.
We're going to give a guy, a freshman, who didn't do anything $1 million, but this guy who's actually doing something, $45,000, hell no.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're not a general manager.
That's another thing they need to do in college football now.
Everybody's hiring them, JC.
Well, who's Florida's general manager?
They have a guy, I forgot his name, and they're getting ready to hire another guy.
Yeah, these guys are always behind. They're always following. They got to start leading over here, man.
Okay, well, hang on. Let me back up. Who is Alabama's general manager?
Some guy.
Okay, there you go. We have the same guy.
No, he made a big. He had a name.
We have a name too, but I mean,
but you're the guy who talks. You're the guy who's JC.
We're going to drop it right here. Just because Jack Pyburn made some plays and he plays hard, you would be fired immediately if you paid a kid that kind of money.
Sure. Okay. Well, if I was the general manager, I wouldn't be fired because I'm the one making the decision.
Well, they would fire you after they saw.
Would they fire me?
Agreed to that.
But what about paying a freshman $1 million who didn't do anything?
You have to pay those guys to get them on campus. That's exactly what they did with Ryan Williams.
Okay.
Hang on a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Ryan Williams, how much money did they pay him to come?
Ryan Williams did things. He have affected games. He was
okay. Listen. Okay. Our two highest paid players last year's recruiting class.
Okay.
Who were they?
Lagway and
LJ McCray, who was the number one defensive player in America. Okay. So for us to even get them on campus, you had to pay them a lot of money. Lagway is making a lot of money, and he's going to be a good player. LJ McCray is making a lot of money. He's going to be a good player. Trust me.
All right. You're betting on the come line, bro.
No, I'm not. He played, JC.
Well, did he? Well, statistically, where did he
does stats. Okay, so I want you to pull up Jack Pyburn's stats if you tell me he's so great.
Why do we talk about Jack Pyburn for half the season?
Because you just talked about he should be paid $45,000.
No, I'm saying why during the year did we talk about Jack Pyburn?
Because he plays hard. He doesn't make plays. He plays hard.
He doesn't make plays, but he plays hard. Okay.
All right. Well, again, there's no reason for you to argue with anybody on this.
Look, I'm not running the money over there. You guys go 7-5 and be happy with it. I don't care.
Well, just a few minutes ago, you were so excited that the Gators went 7-5.
You're
talking out of both sides of your mouth.
Well, they were heading for the 5-7. But
right, but you're talking out of both sides of your mouth.
No, I'm not. You go ahead and pay these guys $1 million because they have to be on campus, but don't talk about it during the
Josh says UF will have a higher rated defense than Alabama next year.
Sure. Okay, sure. All right.
See, there's that smarky comment when y'all weren't very good on defense.
I didn't make the comment. Josh made the comment.
I know, but your response to him.
Well, how do I know that? You don't know that. Nobody knows that.
No, but were y'all any good on defense this year?
Not as good as I want to be.
Okay. Yeah. And a lot of your guys are leaving.
It's a pretty high bar, bro. Okay, it's a pretty high bar.
Electronics World Integration Design Special for Smart Home Automation and Entertainment, affordable local installation, service, and support. Go check them out at electronicsworld.net. Good thing JC's not a GM. That's all I got to say.
Okay, sure.
And Pyburn's got serious injuries. I mean, torn ACLs.
Real liability.
It's like the NFL. You look at what's going on. So,
Jack, I stuck up for you. Sorry, Jack. Hit the road. I tried.
Chris from Cottondale says JC does not need to be a GM. If you gave him $500,000 for 1 year, then he thinks about what everyone else gets. Inflation is bad enough already. Tough to see him leave. He wants to be guaranteed to stay on the field on third downs. You just can't do that kind of stuff.
Again, guys, you don't have to take it verbatim. You have to at least try to talk to the kid. Maybe they did. You're right. Maybe
you act like they text, "Hey, I want $45,000." It's either that or not. Yes, they sit down. All the people sit down and they talk about it. This ain't Pop Warner, where mama calls and says, "Hey, my kid wants $45,000 and he wants to play on third downs, or we're leaving." They sit down and they discuss it.
Actually, that is exactly what Jalen Daniels' mother said to Arizona State. So,
well,
and he went to LSU.
All right, so everybody's telling me here what he wanted, and that would have made him one of the highest paid players on the team. He's simply not worth it, not even close. Robert,
sounds like everybody was in the room with him.
Well, this is what has been reported by inside people that come on this program that cover the Gators, that get inside information.
They were all in the room with them.
Well, they talk to these reporters, trust me. Okay. The players and the parents do.
No, I believe that.
Okay, so they're reporting that.
Oh, I do see I do see Joe's text now. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, yeah. Things do get out. Things get leaked. Whatever the case may be. I just liked him. I don't know. I liked him.
Look, if Jack gets that money somewhere else, great.
Yeah.
Good for him. I don't see it happening.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm not going to stay up at night following his career path.
I don't either. I could care less. I just when I saw that, I was like, I actually said this is comical that they're even asking for this.
I think it's comical that you have to pay $1 million to get a guy on campus.
Well, it happens all around college football, all around at every school, at every stinking school. All right, JC, let's do our Peachland Dental picks for the Thursday night game. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry, Port Charlotte, surrounding areas. Go check them out at peachlanddental.com.
Yeah. Joe, giving me a shirt. Love Joe.
Oh, we also have a playoff pick contest. The links are up.
Talk about that, QB. Help them out. Help people out.
I don't know how to do it. It's right here. Just click on the link and you do it. We got prizes we're giving away. So go for it.
What's the prize? Do you know any prize?
I don't know. I don't do any of that, JC.
It's your show. Your name's on the sign. I mean, what the hell? Huh?
I don't produce the show. I don't do the commercials. Right. Okay. I just talk on the show.
All right. We got yes, you are definitely talking today. We've got the Rams and the 49ers.
Oh, God. Daryl said JC is acting like Buddy Martin this morning.
Oh, no, I'm not. Just because somebody wants to bring up a point and maybe challenge you on some things, QB, or maybe we'll just do this. How about we just sit around and talk about how great our golf game is, or let's talk about how great the future looks. I mean, we can do anything. Like, you can talk about anything you want. What you want to talk about? You want to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, the best team in football? Is that what we're going to talk about today?
We are with Steve Palazollo.
He's a good one to talk about. But I don't think the Chiefs are winning it this year. I just don't think it's going to happen because I think they've been playing with fire. I think they've won 10 straight games by one score. I just don't think it can continue in this league. But, hey, these guys have proven me wrong 2 years in a row winning the Super Bowl against the 49ers that, I always bet against the Chiefs. I guess because when I took Tampa Bay the year they spacked the Chiefs, I was so happy about it that I always said to myself, I think this guy could be had. But he's won, 3 out of 4? So.
All right, so what's the game we're going to be picking?
Yeah, it's the Rams and the 49ers at I say the new Candlestick Park, but it's in Santa Clara, which is nowhere near San Francisco. But it's an hour away. But anyway, 2.5 points is the line. The Niners banged up, but the Rams are coming off a big win against Buffalo. I have to travel up the coast. That's not a big deal. It's not like going across the country to Chicago or something on a Thursday night trip. So it's an easy trip. The Rams beat them the last time, but had to come from behind. Big comeback win for the Rams to beat the Niners. The Niners had that game in their back pocket, let it get away. Niners don't have a lot of players. Rams seem to be healthy. They're getting 2.5. I think this team could be the surprise of the NFL, and I think they're going to win the NFC West because they're going to beat Seattle and win the tiebreaker against the Seahawks in a couple of weeks. I think the Rams take the Niners, but it wouldn't surprise me at all to see San Francisco win by 10. But I'm going to take the Rams plus the 2.5. I think the line.
I'll take the 49ers.
Yeah, well, that's what everybody's doing, and that's why I don't know why the line's sitting at 2.5. I mean, honest to God, I'm surprised that this line isn't above the key number 3 or 6. It's just not though. So either way, that's what we're looking at. The only college game is Saturday. This weekend is in Landover, Maryland at the Dump. And that's Army Navy. And I listened to Bryson Daly yesterday on Sirius Satellite Radio with Neuheisel in the morning, talking about his experience at the military academy in West Point, the fact that he's going to be in the infantry and be an officer in the infantry for the next 5 years after his football career, and how he came from Texas to become, they wanted him to be a linebacker. And Monk had said, if you can run with a football, maybe you should be our quarterback, and that's what he has become. And he's been. Listen, they are 11-1 QB, and they are going to a bowl game. They won their conference in their first year. It's incredible.
Yeah, Todd Monken's done a good job.
That would be Jeff.
Jeff Monken.
Yeah, that'd be Jeff. But
Brother.
Army's 11-1. Go ahead. Tell me what you were reading while I was blabbering about the Army.
Well, there's I've never seen so many texts on the Titan more.
Well, see, look at what I can do, QB. We can sit around and talk about nothing, or we can bring up a counterpoint, discussion about a player for the Gators. We can do that. And guess what happens? You get 100,000 text messages and whatever the tweets.
Yeah, we got a text here about Walker Howard, who was highly recruited. Initially went to LSU, then transferred to Ole Miss. Now he's going back home. He grew up, played high school ball close to Louisiana Lafayette, so he's going to be a Raging Cajun. So look out for the Raging Cajuns to win. They're probably going to win that league now. He's a very good player. You're going to play one quarterback. That's the problem.
You can only play one.
Yep.
Well,
Andy's question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel. Shane, wasn't Pyburn the type of guy who could have had a long-term career around Gainesville after football? Possibly. He went to the bowl school, so I don't know what his family does. He's from Jacksonville. Look, I'm not mad at the kid.
I'm not mad at him.
I think it's so far-fetched, though. It really is laughable to me.
If you don't ask, you won't get. So he asked.
Yeah, well, how about let's ask, what about 10,000 a month?
I don't know, maybe
15,000 a month, not 40 freaking 5,000. Jeez.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
You better be a difference maker. You better score touchdowns, and you better have like 12 sacks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my opinion. If I was running the football team, I'd be like, no, you may want to go get that somewhere else if you can't. We'll help you.
You think the coach has anything to do with how much you're paid?
Look, every school now that NIL has come about.
No, I'm just asking. I don't know.
Yeah, the coaches and the general managers and the people that are in charge of the money, they have everything is slotted. It's just like the NFL. Like you're slotted depending on your position, right? And if you're a starter, if you're a back, like I said yesterday, I have friends that are coaches in the FCS that have diamonds in the rough that have lost those guys for 200 to 300, 400,000 to group of fives and power fives. But their backup, their starters on their programs are going to be backups for like $50,000 to $60,000 a year to FBS schools.
This is under the context now of basically professional football. It's not NIL. NIL is name, image.
No, JC. NIL is just a term they use. This is purchasing players. That's all it is.
Well, that's exactly what I just said. They're buying players. They're paying them like they are in the NFL, except we have no collective bargaining and we have
no contract.
We don't have any of that yet.
Yeah, it's
coming.
a mess.
But it's coming. No, it's coming. It has to. You can't organize like this. It's got to eventually come to a hill. Chris Fleek, I got to read this real quick about all our Miami listeners, all our Miami fan listeners. You know that since 2022, no team has lost more games as a double-digit favorite than Miami under Mario. Miami is 4-9 in November and December, including 2-2 this year after a 9-0 start. Wow. Double-digit favorite, so that should help you. Well, it doesn't matter now. The season's over, but I just think it's gotten so out of whack with what we call this now. It's basically professional football, and not professional football, but it's pay to play.
It's purchasing players on a yearly basis.
It's pay to play.
It's pay to play.
That's it.
The only NIL money that they're getting are from if they do an autograph signing or if they get with the percentage they get from their jersey sales out of the student union.
Yeah,
everything
but that million that LJ's getting is coming out of the NIL pool. Is that right?
Say that again.
Isn't that coming out of the Florida Victorious pool of money?
You talking about what they're paying all the players?
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes out of their collective or whatever. Next year, some of it will come from the school and the collective. But what I'm saying is the only technical NIL stuff that is happening around college football is if you're doing commercials, if you're signing autographs, or you're getting percentage of your apparel or your jersey sales. That's what NIL is supposed to be.
Well,
And
that's what it is.
that's about 5% of what the kids are getting. The other part of it is just, hey, I'm either coming to your school if you pay me this much, or I'm going to this school over here because they're going to pay me that.
I'm curious how they're going to divvy up the 22 million or whatever that house settlement a number is.
Oh, we got to get to Steve. You're out of here, JC. Have a good day.
Goodbye.
Go work on your general manager skills.
Goodbye.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick time out. We'll be joined by Steve Palazollo, talk a little NFL. You're watching and listening PodUp Matthews in the Morning.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Crime Prevention Security System, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, Dave & Buster's, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Bishop's Pitmaster Barbecue, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Cogent Bank, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Signs, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Okido America, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
After serving over 100 families over the past several years, we're super excited to kick off the holiday season. I'm Dylan. I'm Garrett. And we're Sunshine Holiday Lights. We all know how stressful it can be to decorate your home during the holidays. Our services include installation of all material, maintenance, takedown, and storage of the material throughout the year. If you want to spend more time with your family this year, give Sunshine Holiday Lights a call.
Unleash the Inferno.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. There are many car washes in Gainesville, but only one Gallo Car Wash, locally owned by UF alum, and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. 3 locations. Go check them out. That's Gallo Car Wash. Going back to the Titan Tomorrow Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp, we're joined by Steve Palazollo, who is the co-host of Check the Mic podcast, formerly of Pro Football Focus, and knows his NFL. What's up, my man? How you doing, Steve?
Doing great. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. First of all, how's the new podcast going?
It's been good. My podcast partner, Sam, and I, we had been doing it about over 10 years at PFF and had a great opportunity to go to the 33rd team, kind of restart the podcast, calling it Check the Mic, and having a lot of fun going team by team in the NFL every single week. And about 4 months, we've gotten it off the ground and continues to grow. So going well so far.
Awesome. All right, let's talk. So far, I guess we got about 6 or 7 weeks left in the NFL. And I guess what's been the biggest surprise to you, Steve, so far in the league?
I mean, there's always like individual teams that overachieve or underachieve. I think it's, a team like I'm living in Cincinnati now. So a team like the Bengals that have an incredible offense, Joe Burrow playing at a high level, Jamar Chase playing at an extremely high level. And they're sitting here at 5-8. And, I'm not going to say I'm surprised by the Chiefs, but you just see the number of teams, how many games come down to one play, the number of one play finishes that we see the Chiefs pull off in their favor, and the number of one play finishes teams like the Bengals or the Bears seem to be on the other end of. So I think not so much a surprise, but at the end of the season, you're looking and the Bengals are 5-8 when they're literally a handful of plays away from being 8-5, and even a team like the 49ers at 6-7, probably a handful of plays, away from having 9 wins. So I think that's where we are, is the record maybe not matching up with how teams have played, and a lot of games coming down to 1 or 2 plays at the end.
Yeah, speaking of the Bengals, I mean, Burrow, I think he's played at an MVP type level this year. I don't know if he even has a chance of winning it. But what happened, a few years ago, they played in the Super Bowl. They were really good defensively, and I don't follow the NFL closely, but did they lose a lot of guys from that defense and free agency, or they have a bunch of injuries? What's going on with their defense?
Yeah, I mean, there's some turnover there. Once they paid Joe Burrow, they had to not pay a guy like Jesse Bates, who's going to play safety for the Atlanta Falcons. They lost some players, but um, I don't know exactly on the defensive side of the ball. Like the personnel's not as good for Cincy, but defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo had done a really nice job for years, and they've just been awful on that side of the ball this year. So a little bit of personnel, a little bit of not the draft picks that they've tried to hit on the last couple of years, just not replacing some of the veterans that needed to walk. And then again, just literal bad luck on a few plays here and there, missed field goals and bad snaps and a lot of one-off plays that change things. But it's the defense in Cincinnati that has been pretty bad. They can't rush the passer, can't stop the run. Coverage has been extremely inconsistent, and that's probably one of the most disappointing units in the NFL this season.
Yeah, there's no question. You talked about the Chiefs. Boy, they win close games. They're pretty dang good defensively. Offensively, I don't watch them closely, but every time I watch them, I feel like they've had issues protecting Patrick Mahomes. Is that the biggest issue on their offense?
Yeah, the protection issues are interesting because it's almost all from left tackle, a little bit of right tackle, but it's the left tackle spot for the Chiefs the last couple of years. Last year they tried rookie Wanye Morris. He was a third-round rookie last season. He struggled last year. He struggled this year. Last year, they had a veteran in Donovan Smith, former Buck. When he was healthy, the offense was better. So this year, the Chiefs kind of came into the season and said, we're going to go with the young guys. Wanye Morris has struggled. Second-rounder Kingsley Suamataia, he has struggled, got benched a couple times. Then they signed DJ Humphries, former Gator, and brought him in last week, but he hadn't played in about a year, injures his hamstring. If he gets out there and he's healthy, he probably shores up that spot. The guy could, he could pass protect much better than those other guys. But it has been a big question, and there's been, 2 or 3 plays, sometimes more, per game where they're just not even viable at left tackle. Some of those young guys, and Mahomes has no chance. So if DJ can get healthy and shore it up, he might really solidify that line that is really good. Otherwise, just the left tackle spot's been pretty bad.
The Buffalo Bills, obviously, they've been knocking on the door ever since Josh Allen's been their quarterback, and it looks like this could be their year. Obviously, they lost in a shootout at LA this past weekend. But just talk about the Bills. I don't have their schedule in front of me, who they have left, but if they get home field advantage, which I don't know if they can now with the way Kansas City keeps winning, but they're going to be a tough team to beat this year to make to the Super Bowl. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, it will be tough to get home field, but the ironic thing is Josh Allen becomes the favorite for MVP. This is probably the best job the Bills have done on not relying on Josh Allen. Now, last week was different. He had to, be superhuman Josh Allen in a comeback attempt. But my favorite part of the Bills this year is their ability to spread the ball around, create after the catch. Khalil Shakir working out of the slot. They've had bringing Amari Cooper to win on the outside, James Cook running the ball and catching the ball out of the backfield. This is the best offense they've had as far as not relying on Josh Allen on every single third down. Hey, go be superhuman Josh Allen. So I think their ability to win in different ways, win with the run game, win with downhill running. Buffalo's, I think, better equipped this year. And last year they took a step in this direction, but I think this year they're best equipped to go on that playoff run. And then, break glass in case of emergency. Josh Allen can run around, make great plays, flip the field with downfield throws. So I like the way they're set up. I was a little concerned with how bad their defense was in the shootout against the Rams last week. But overall, I think Buffalo in a really good spot to maybe knock off the Chiefs in the playoffs and go on a little run.
Yeah. Andy's got a question here on Facebook Live brought to you by Melon Law. It says, Steve, if the Lions went out through the Super Bowl, will they be considered one of the best teams in NFL history?
Wow. I mean, that's a great question. Yeah, they have to be. Their only loss was week 2 against the Bucs, and I thought it was more the Lions' fault than impressive from Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay is a good, solid team, but the Lions turned the ball over, got stalled in the red zone a couple times in that game. I mean, Detroit's a powerhouse. And I don't know if they're going to go on that type of run. They do play Buffalo this week, which is exciting. I would love to see a Lions-Bills Super Bowl just for the fan bases. I think unfortunately, one fan base would come back very upset, but somebody would win. Somebody would pull that off. But yeah, the Lions are outstanding. Talk about ways to win: run the ball, throw the ball, speed. The speed that they've added on offense is incredible, and Detroit's done a really good job. They're missing 9 or 10 defensive linemen from their 2 deep from September. It's unbelievable that they're able to still play well on the defensive side of the ball. So yeah, I've been really impressed with what they've done top to bottom in Detroit.
Do you think Ben Johnson takes the head job this year?
I think so. It's he's been picky, which I think is fine. It's a good thing. I think there was a little bit of let's go back to Detroit and see what we can do. They were so close last year. But I think both coordinators could be gone. Aaron Glenn's doing a great job on the defensive side of the ball. Ben Johnson's been outstanding on the offensive side of the ball between creativity, using playmakers, unique, diverse running game. He does it all. So I think Ben Johnson will find a job that he likes this offseason, and Aaron Glenn might as well. So it could be an interesting offseason for the Lions.
Talk about the Vikings. I think they're another team that have surprised a lot of people. Sam Darnold is playing really good football right now.
He really is, man. I mean, he had shown I was as skeptical as anyone because I was a Darnold fan when he came out of college. Obviously didn't have a lot of success, but in other stints with Carolina, even at times with the Jets, he would put together 3 and 4 week spurts, and then it would fall apart. And I'm like, all right, I just want to see it happen a little bit longer. But he had that game against the Jaguars a few weeks ago. He almost blew it. I mean, he was throwing the ball to the defense in the red zone over and over again. And I'm like, all right, there's the implosion from Sam Darnold. He's back. But it wasn't the case. He's bounced back incredibly. He's been very aggressive throwing the ball down the field. I think Kevin O'Connell's done a great job, especially in the tight red zone. They are scheming it up. And Darnold just looks so comfortable, trusting the system, playing within it. And he's got unbelievable playmakers to throw to between Justin Jefferson as a 1, Jordan Addison, who probably would be a 1 in other places, TJ Hawkinson, one of the better receiving tight ends. So I love what Minnesota's done. I think you got to give a ton of credit to Kevin O'Connell as head coach and play caller, but also for Darnold for, at this point in his career, becoming an MVP candidate essentially as a bridge quarterback, because that's what he was signed as. Like, hey, you're the bridge to our drafted quarterback, JJ McCarthy. And all of a sudden, Darnold has outperformed all those expectations.
Yeah, they've been fun to watch for sure. We got a text on the Titan More text line from Frank at Amelia Island. I'm a Jags season ticket holder. Do they fire Doug Peterson this year?
Yeah, I mean, I hate talking about, jobs and who's going to be back and all that. I think they will. It clearly hasn't gone as expected. Those comments before the season from Shad Khan that, hey, this is the most talented team. Essentially, they had high expectations. And I was a little torn on what to expect of the Jags coming in. I thought last year they still had a solid roster, and this year there was just a lot of turnover. And for every good player that they lost, they seemingly brought one in. I didn't know how it was going to mesh. Thought the defense took a big step back. And, look, Trevor Lawrence is very talented. We all know that. I don't know if he ever gets to that point where you're saying, oh, he's a clear top 3 quarterback. He's in that Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, area. Still has that potential, but there's still enough lacking there that I think there'll be some turnover, and they're going to be looking. Maybe it is a Ben Johnson, who knows? But it's who can come in and get the most out of Trevor Lawrence, and they're going to have to reshape that roster a little bit because a lot of disappointment, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and that's a place where I don't know. I got a funny feeling Ben Johnson's going to end up in Jags, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with all the injuries they've had, they still are winning games. They lead the NFC South right now. Do you think they hold on and win that division?
Yeah, I think they've got a good shot to. I mean, I liked the Falcons coming into the season, and then early in the season, clearly Atlanta looking good. But the Bucs have, they survived a really difficult middle of the season schedule, and now they've got an easier schedule down the stretch. And look, Baker Mayfield's extremely resilient. Todd Bowles has been extremely resilient. They've dealt with a ton of injuries, as you said, but they do find ways to win. So, and on the other side, Atlanta, their biggest competition, Atlanta's just been inconsistent week to week. Kirk Cousins thrown 8 picks over the last few games, no touchdowns. It's all been a factor. So I think Tampa Bay has a chance to essentially three-peat as division champs. And I didn't think that would be the case about 3 or 4 weeks ago. but now they're back in front, and I think they've got a path to win it again.
The Dolphins, can they make a late run and get a wild card spot?
The Dolphins are a little bit like the Cowboys over the last couple of years. Very difficult team to peg because when they're good, they are very, very good. I mean, you see Tua, the way he runs that offense. It's creative. He's unique in how quickly he works through reads and throws guys open. Defense has been solid, but Miami hasn't beaten good teams over the last 2 years. Every time you start to believe in them, it's like, well, you go into a Green Bay and you don't have much of a chance. Or last year, you get beat up by the Ravens, beat up by the Bills with the season on the line, or seeding on the line. So I think it's going to be tough for Miami to make an actual run necessarily, but similar spot. I mean, they're as good as last year's team, I would say, which is they're going to beat up on the Raiders, they're going to beat the Patriots, they're going to beat some of those, the Jets, find ways to beat those teams. Still want to see them get over the hump, though, and I think that's going to be the big question here down the stretch and probably heading into next year. Good team. Can they get over the hump and beat other good teams? I think it's going to be tough for them to overtake, say, the Broncos for the 7th seed, though, this year.
Are you surprised at how well the Pittsburgh Steelers are playing?
Yeah. I mean, I am. I got to be honest. I am. I mean, that Mike Tomlin has always done a good job, but they're getting the best out of Russell Wilson. It's still not maybe top 5 quarterback elite Russell Wilson that we saw in 2019 in the first half of 2020, but it's the best Russell Wilson we've seen in about 4 years. Defense is always tough and feisty. And look, I think they've done a really good job in the draft the last couple of years. And Tomlin does a great job pulling it all together as a leader. So they've been very good. Little blip a couple weeks ago against the Browns, but everybody has those except the Chiefs. So yeah, I'm very impressed with what Pittsburgh's done. And I think other years they would win games. Back in 2020, they were 11-0, and it felt fake. It was like, they're just getting away with some stuff. They're not that good. And then they lost, I think, 5 out of the next 6. This year, though, feels different. It feels like the ceiling of this Pittsburgh offense is higher because of Russell Wilson and his aggressiveness down the field. So I'm much more excited about what Pittsburgh can do now than maybe the last few years, where they've been similar, but this year I think the offense could do some damage now.
Rob's question on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Why aren't the Cowboys playing Trey Lance?
I just don't think he's developed at all. I mean, every time you see him, and Shane, this, you can just see the difference in quarterbacks when they're seeing it, when they're, we talk about Tua and how fast he works through reads and progressions. You don't just pick that up overnight, and Trey Lance has never really had that. And so even in preseason action, you just don't see that development. Now, they're 5-8, and at some point you might just throw them out there. It might make sense the last two or 3 weeks of the season, because just like we saw with Anthony Richardson, time off does do wonders sometimes, learning, and you don't know when guys are going to develop. And much like Richardson, Trey Lance has no experience. I mean, the guy had 320 dropbacks in college, and it was at, North Dakota State, and he's barely played in the NFL. So maybe at the end of the season, you give him a couple games to see. But I think the reason is teams are still trying to win, even when they're out of it. So Cooper Rush gives the Cowboys a better chance to win right now because Lance just hasn't shown the necessary development yet.
QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief, no surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule a free consultation at QC Kinetics. A few more minutes here with Steve Palazollo talking NFL. The rookie quarterbacks from this past year, obviously Jaden Daniels is probably going to be rookie of the year, but I have to say Bo Nix has been, early in the year he had some terrible games, but he's played really well of late. Are you surprised, and do you like this class of rookie quarterbacks?
Yeah, I think you're right about Nix. I mean, he was pretty bad early on, and the part where I'm not necessarily surprised is I think the experience that he had, 60 starts, that does, lend its hand to maybe him hitting the ground running. And I think his development, though, has been impressive. And honestly, it's the first time I've looked at Sean Payton and said, okay, I'm impressed with Sean Payton again. You didn't see that last year. Him and Russ just didn't seem to get along well. But this is the first time in a few years where I think Sean Payton scheming it up well, getting guys into space, getting playmakers into space, attacking down, scheming it up, downfield throws, and things that he used to do in New Orleans. And then Bo Nix's development. I think you got to give Sean Payton and the entire coaching staff, compliment what they've been able to do with Nix. And Nix has done a nice job. They're playing to his strengths. And I think he's been fantastic. Jaden Daniels, who you mentioned, probably gets the rookie of the year even over Nix. I think he's been outstanding. Caleb Williams is tough to figure out every single week. Every 3 weeks he shows his potential, and then other times it's just awful. There were some plays that were awful last week, both schematically, pass protection wise. Caleb Williams, it's all bad with the Bears. But I think overall, I've been impressed with this class. And then Drake May. I mean, I'm from New England, and a lot of people back there are very excited about Drake May. And the story there is like he's got nobody to throw to, some of the worst pass protection in the NFL, and he's been impressive. You know, he's elevated that roster. So it's like, hey, get some talent around him, and I think they're feeling really good about what Drake May is capable of in New England.
Yeah, I like Drake May a lot. All right, which quarterback you think is taken first in the draft coming up?
Oh man, I think Cam Ward has the upside that people are going to like. I'm going to say Shadur goes number one right now. Nobody I talk to loves this class. They named those two names first, but 3 through 8 is like, is it Drew Aller this week? It was Nussmeier for a little bit, Jalen Milroe. I don't feel good about anyone, and Shadur and Cam, you know, they have their issues as well. So we'll see, but I'll say Shadur right now. Fascinating class, and I really, not that I'm rooting for Miami or anything, but as an analyst, really would have loved to see Cam Ward on a playoff run. Would have loved to see Shadur on a playoff run. Would have loved to see, Carson Beck, of course. I would love to just see those guys try to make that playoff run, because I think that would improve or hurt draft stock a lot. And we're going to miss out on some of those top guys, playing those extra few games.
Yeah. Do you think Travis Hunter will be the first player taken?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who has it and if it's not a quarterback. But yeah, I think Hunter's unbelievable. I can't wait to see what he does in the NFL. It is unreal what he's done in college, being able to play. It's not just a snap count. I mean, he is a legitimate, top 5 corner, top 5 receiver in college football. It's never been done before. So between him and Genti, I'm happy with either one winning the Heisman.
But I mean, I don't think Travis Hunter will take a snap at wide receiver in the National Football League. Do you?
Well, I think there's two things. I think much like Dion, you play him at corner, and then it's easier to play 20, 25 snaps at receiver. I think that is absolutely on the table. Not full-time the way he's doing in Colorado. The other part is injury depth. Think about what's happening with Tampa Bay this year, right? If they have Chris Godwin go down, hey, Travis, you're a full-time receiver now. Or if you have a corner go down, hey, you're a full-time corner now. I think he's good enough to basically hold 2 roster spots, even if he's not doing it week to week. That is incredible in a salary cap world where we only have 53 roster spots.
Yeah, it's crazy to be able to do that against the greatest players in the world, too. All right, Steve, good stuff as always. Give me your Super Bowl matchup and who wins it.
Well, I came into the season saying Eagles and Bengals, and that's not looking so hot right now. So I'll say this weekend's game, Lions and Bills. I'm an unbiased analyst here, Shane, but the idea of Lions fans who are just so excited this year and Bills fans going head to head in the Super Bowl, someone will be disappointed, but someone's holding the trophy for the first time. So give me Bills and Lions just for the storyline.
That would be great. Steve, good stuff as always. Let everybody know one more time how they can check you out on Twitter and follow your podcast and listen to it.
Yeah, Twitter is Steve Palazollo _, and then the podcast is called Check the Mic. We're on YouTube, and then anywhere you listen to your podcast, Check the Mic. And we're going to be 3 times a week, about 6 to 8 hours of content. So come check us out.
Awesome. Appreciate your time, my friend. Take care and have a happy holidays.
Thanks, you too. Thanks, Shane.
That's Steve Palazollo. Join us on the Titan No More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Injuries occur whenever and however, and it's never convenient. For sprains, strains, and minor fractures, UF Health Ortho Care makes it convenient for you. 7 days a week, including evenings. Walk-ins are welcome. Go check them out. UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. I want to thank JC, our new general manager of the Florida Gators, and Steve Palazzola for joining us on the Titan No More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent today. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.